Now I'd like to show you this Thanksgiving couple. This is also in our book too, and they are just absolutely adorable. I have them in a lovely frame. They really become quite an heirloom when they're done. Okay, again, we always start by making our dimensional pieces. Put a Xerox copy on top of 2 pieces of fabric right side together, and a lot of them have this thin polyester bonded batting. It holds up in the wash and it gives it this really neat professional edge. That's why I like it. Now the pumpkin was sewn all the way around, so in order to turn it right side out, we make a little slit in the back and we'll whip stitch that shut. We took the paper out, of course. Now the hat of the man was foundation piece with the gold trim and then black, and then I stacked it with black fabric and thin polyester bottom batting. Sew on the solid line, cut on the dash line, and I'll turn it so it'll have that little thing pieced into it. His hat brim looks kind of strange, but what it is, just sew all the way around just on this solid line. Then I'm going to cut on this dashed line and turn it, but it will only have this edge sewn because all the other edges are put into a seam. So that's why they're not sewn. That would just create bulk. Okay, now the head was extra stuffed. And then we're going to foundation piece 1, 2, 3 on both pieces, the man and the woman. We machine basted where the little collar goes into the seam. And then we place the open edge 1/4 of an inch up above that basting. Then we're going to foundation piece the background that will enclose in the edges of that collar. Okay, we foundation pieced the little background pieces that enclose the collar. Then we turn it over machine based where the next thing goes into the seam. This is the man, and the little brim of his hat goes in and his head. So we'll put his head 1/4 of an inch above that line, and his hat. It's kind of long, so you want to make sure that you've got those raw edges up and above that basting. And then we'll foundation piece 6 and 7 background, and that will enclose his little head, and then we'll cut it out and we'll show you that. This is the lady, and we've foundation piece 4 and 5, and now she's in 2 pieces. So I went ahead and cut that block out. Then we'll work on her head block. So I've placed my number 1 background fabric, then I machine basted where the brim of her hat goes in her head. And this is what that looks like. So it's got the basting, then we put her head 1/4 of an inch above that, then her hat 1/4 of an inch beyond that basting. Then I've gathered her hat brim, place it right side down. Then I'll foundation piece 2 and 3 and 4 and cut that out. Okay, now we have added our little pieces that enclosed our hat, and we have finished the headpiece. Now, when you cut this out on the dashed line, you have to make sure that little head is lifted. You don't want to razor cut her little chin. And the same with sewing it on. You're going to lift that little head so it's not in the seam. And then there's another piece of background here that's cut, and we're going to place the top of his hat this way so that when it is sewn, it will fall back and give him his hat. Then we'll sew the whole thing together, and there is a pattern in your, a rounded pattern in the book that shows you the oval that you will cut out this whole block, and we'll show you what you're going to do with that oval. Okay, they start to take on some character when you sew their little hair in, and that's just doll hair. You just go up and down with matching thread to catch the little loops of hair. Seed beads for the eyes, blush the cheeks. Here's a little bow for under their chin. We cut out the oval, we pinned it on this background piece of fabric, and then we cut bias fabric, fold it wrong sides together and put it along that oval and sew it. And then this will fall back. You can press it And because it's bias, it stretches. Then we're going to blind stitch along that folded edge. Now you've seen how we've added the leaves. See how they kind of cover up the arms, and leaves down here with these grapes. I just get at a craft store. They're kind of in the fake fruit and vegetable area. And I've outline stitched the Be Ye Thankful right here. Put that on there. And then I've pin tucked the sides. So this is a foam core board. And I just roll the edges over and put pins just straight down into the foam core. Look at our Christmas quilt. It kind of explains how we did this bias silhouetted oval. I put 2 layers of batting on this outside part. Well, the whole thing was 2 layers, and then I stitched right in the ditch around the oval, and then I cut some of the batting out of this middle so that it sinks in, and this just makes it absolutely adorable. You can see the blush on the cheeks and the little hair that's set under the hat. These just come out darling. And then I cut that foam core just a little bit smaller than the actual frame. See, and it just pops right into that frame. Just makes it so rich and gorgeous. And I hope that this tutorial really helps you see how fun this is and not very hard. Thanks for watching.